Block 1. Dali's early life. The year is 1904. The place, Figueres, Catalonia, Spain. In this small, sun-drenched town, a legend was born, but not without a shadow. Salvador Dalí, a name that would become synonymous with the surreal, entered the world 9 months and 10 days after the death of his older brother, also named Salvador. This eerie circumstance cast a lifelong pall over the artist, a ghostly twin he would both revere and resent. His parents, still grieving, saw in young Salvador a reincarnation, fostering a complex identity that blurred the lines between his nascent self and the idealized memory of his lost sibling. This early experience, a psychological crucible, would forge the foundation of his unique perception, a constant interplay between reality and the spectral. From the outset, Dalí was a child of extremes. He was prone to violent outbursts, theatrical tantrums, and an insatiable desire for attention. Yet, beneath this tempestuous exterior lay an undeniable, almost preternatural artistic talent. His earliest drawings, remarkably sophisticated for his age, revealed a mind already grappling with complex forms and vivid imaginations. His parents, despite their unconventional approach to his upbringing, indulging his whims while also providing a rigorous education, recognized his prodigious gift. They enrolled him in drawing school at a young age, nurturing a talent that was both a blessing and a challenge. Dalí's childhood was a tapestry woven with privilege and neurosis, a fertile ground for the seeds of genius to take root. He was a mischievous boy, constantly pushing boundaries, delighting in shocking those around him. This innate theatricality, this desire to provoke, was not merely a childish phase. It was the nascent form of the public persona he would meticulously craft throughout his life. The tranquil setting of Catalonia, with its rugged landscapes, the dramatic Cap de Creus Peninsula, and the vibrant culture, profoundly influenced Dalí's developing aesthetic. The stark, dramatic coastline of Cadaqués, where his family spent summers, became a recurring motif in his later work, a backdrop for his dreamscapes. The light, the colors, the very air of his homeland seeped into his artistic consciousness, providing a tangible anchor for his otherwise ethereal visions. This deep connection to his roots, even as his mind soared into the abstract, gave his surrealism a grounded, almost tactile quality. In 1922, a 17-year-old Dalí embarked on the next crucial chapter of his life, moving to Madrid to study at the San Fernando School of Fine Arts. This period marked his formal entry into the world of art education, but it was far from the conventional experience. Dalí, with his flamboyant attire and even more flamboyant ideas, quickly became a notorious figure. He was less interested in adhering to academic conventions and more in challenging them. His rebellious spirit found kindred souls in the vibrant intellectual circles of Madrid. It was here he formed deep, complex friendships that would shape his artistic and personal trajectory. Among his closest companions were the future filmmaker Luis Buñuel and the poet Federico Garcia Lorca. Their intense intellectual exchanges, their shared avant-garde sensibilities, and their youthful idealism fueled Dalí's burgeoning creativity. Lorca, in particular, exerted a profound influence, their relationship blossoming into a deep, if ultimately tragic, bond that transcended mere friendship. However, Dalí's time at the Academy was also fraught with conflict. His refusal to conform, his open disdain for his professors, and his belief in his own unparalleled genius led to repeated clashes. He was expelled in 1926, just before his final exams, for declaring that no one on the faculty was competent enough to examine him. This act of defiance, far from being a setback, was a declaration of independence, a clear signal that Dalí would forge his own path, beholden to no one but his own singular vision. His expulsion was not an end, but a beginning, freeing him from the constraints of academic tradition and propelling him towards the burgeoning art scene of Paris. The late 1920s saw Dalí make his pivotal move to Paris, the undisputed epicenter of the avant-garde. It was a city pulsating with artistic innovation, a melting pot of radical ideas and revolutionary movements. Here, Dalí was instantly drawn to the Surrealist movement, a group of artists and writers led by the charismatic and intellectual André Breton. Surrealism, with its emphasis on the subconscious, dreams, and automatic writing, resonated deeply with Dalí's own nascent explorations of the inner mind. He had already been experimenting with dream imagery and irrational juxtapositions in his work, unknowingly aligning himself with the movement's core tenets. His initial encounters with the Surrealists were electric. They recognized in Dalí a kindred spirit, an artist whose technical prowess was matched only by the audacity of his imagination. He quickly assimilated their theories, particularly the influence of Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis, which provided a theoretical framework for his own intuitive understanding of the subconscious. Freud's ideas on dreams, symbols, and repressed desires offered Dalí a rich lexicon for his visual language. He became an ardent disciple, even journeying to meet Freud himself years later, an encounter that solidified his belief in the power of the unconscious mind. This period in Paris was transformative. Dalí found not just an artistic movement, but a philosophical home, a group of individuals who shared his fascination with the irrational and the fantastical. His arrival in Paris marked the true genesis of the Dalí we know today, the artist who would not merely paint surrealism, but embody it. He wasn't just joining a movement, he was about to redefine it, pushing its boundaries into realms previously unimagined. His early life, a tumultuous journey from the sun-drenched coast of Catalonia to the bohemian cafes of Paris, had prepared him for this moment, positioning him on the precipice of an artistic revolution. Surrealist Vision. With his arrival in Paris and his embrace of the Surrealist movement, Salvador Dalí entered his most prolific and defining period, a time when his name became inextricably linked with the very essence of Surrealism. He wasn't just a participant, he quickly ascended to become one of its most flamboyant and influential figures, injecting a new level of meticulous, almost hyper-real detail into the dreamscapes of the subconscious. While other surrealists explored automatic drawing and stream-of-consciousness writing, Dalí's unique contribution was his groundbreaking paranoiac-critical method, a self-induced state of hallucination that allowed him to tap directly into his subconscious visions with astonishing clarity. This method was not a passive reception of images, but an active, deliberate process. Dalí would often stare intently at an object, a wall, or a cloud, allowing his mind to enter a state of heightened perception, bordering on controlled paranoia. In this state, he could perceive multiple, superimposed images within a single form, transforming the mundane into the extraordinary. He described it as a spontaneous method of irrational knowledge based upon the critical and systematic objectification of delirious associations and interpretations. It was a way of consciously accessing the unconscious, translating his deepest fears, desires, and obsessions onto canvas with an unsettling, almost photographic precision. He would meticulously render these visions, often with the traditional techniques of the old masters, giving his fantastical subjects a jarring sense of reality. This paradoxical blend of the utterly irrational with academic realism became his signature style. The fruits of this method were the iconic works that cemented his place in art history. Perhaps no painting encapsulates Dalí's surrealist vision more profoundly than The Persistence of Memory from 1931. This relatively small canvas, yet monumental in its impact, features the now famous melting clocks draped over barren branches, a distorted human-like figure, and a vast, desolate landscape stretching to the horizon. The soft, pliable watches symbolize the fluidity of time, challenging our conventional understanding of its linearity and permanence. They suggest the subjective nature of memory and the way our perception can bend and distort reality. The landscape itself, often identified as the Cap de Cruz near his home in Catalonia, grounds the dream in a personal, almost autobiographical context, making the irrational feel strangely familiar. The painting is a profound meditation on time, memory, and the subconscious, inviting endless interpretation and introspection. Another pivotal work, The Great Masturbator from 1929, delves even deeper into Dalí's personal psychology and his Freudian fascinations. Dominated by a large, yellowish, soft head resembling a rock formation or a decaying face, the painting is rife with complex symbolism. The head, often interpreted as a self-portrait, is a recurring motif in his work, representing a fragmented, vulnerable self. Insects, particularly grasshoppers and ants, appear frequently, symbolizing fear and decay stemming from Dalí's childhood phobias. The imagery of sex, desire, and anxiety is palpable, reflecting Dalí's own complicated relationship with intimacy and his exploration of repressed sexual urges. These works were not merely decorative, they were psychological landscapes, meticulously mapped out explorations of the human psyche, presented with a shocking blend of vulnerability and audacity. Dalí's art during this period was a revolutionary approach to depicting dreams, fears, and desires. He didn't just illustrate dreams, he created a visual language for the unconscious, making the invisible manifest. His paintings were puzzles, inviting viewers to unravel their complex layers of meaning, drawing upon art history, mythology, psychology, and his own highly personal symbology. He challenged the very definition of reality, suggesting that the dream world held as much, if not more, truth than the waking one. His influence on the Surrealist movement was immense, inspiring others to push their own boundaries, yet his relationship with the group was always tempestuous. The very success and notoriety that Dalí cultivated eventually led to friction with the movement's founder, André Breton. Breton, a staunch ideologue, viewed Dalí's increasing commercialism and his perceived political ambiguity with disdain. Dalí, with his flamboyant public persona and his unapologetic embrace of fame and wealth, began to clash with the group's anti-establishment ethos. His famous quip, "The only difference between a madman and me is that I am not mad," while humorous, also hinted at a calculated self-awareness that some surrealists found opportunistic. His political stance, or lack thereof, during the Spanish Civil War and the rise of fascism in Europe further strained relations. While many surrealists were staunchly anti-fascist, Dalí remained ambiguous, even expressing admiration for Hitler's aesthetic, a position that was anathema to Breton. This, combined with his relentless self-promotion and his willingness to engage in commercial ventures, designing everything from jewelry to fashion, was seen by Breton a betrayal of Surrealist principles. The movement, at its core, was against the commodification of art, believing it should serve a revolutionary purpose, not capitalist gain. Ultimately, the inevitable rupture occurred. In 1934, Dalí was subjected to a trial by his fellow Surrealists and officially expelled from the group. Breton famously coined the anagram of Vida dollars to scorn his perceived greed. Yet even in expulsion, Dalí maintained his unique position. He famously retorted, "I am Surrealism," a testament to his unwavering self-belief and his conviction that his personal vision transcended any group's dogma. His expulsion, rather than diminishing him, further solidified his individual legend, freeing him to explore new avenues and expand his influence far beyond the confines of a single artistic movement. He had proven that his genius, however controversial, could not be contained. Block 3. Legacy and impact beyond the intense dreamscapes of his surrealist masterpieces, Dalí's later life was characterized by an even more flamboyant public persona and an astonishingly diverse array of ventures that blurred the lines between art, commerce, and performance. Having declared, "The only thing the world will not have enough of is Salvador Dalí," he set about proving it. While his expulsion from the Surrealist group might have spelled the end for a lesser artist, for Dalí, it was merely a new beginning, an opportunity to expand his artistic empire and solidify his status as a global cultural icon. He masterfully cultivated his public image, transforming himself into a living work of art, a walking, talking embodiment of his own surreal vision. His signature upturned mustache, his theatrical pronouncements, and his eccentric behavior became as famous as his paintings. He understood the power of celebrity long before the age of reality television, using every interview, every public appearance as an extension of his artistic output. He was a pioneer in personal branding, meticulously crafting a persona that was both captivating and confounding. This deliberate self-mythologizing ensured his continued relevance, keeping him firmly in the public eye even as artistic trends shifted. He wasn't just selling art, he was selling the myth of Salvador Dalí. Dali's artistic endeavors expanded far beyond the canvas. He became a true multidisciplinary artist, exploring film, fashion, advertising, and even jewelry design. His collaborations with other creative giants are legendary. His most famous cinematic contribution was the dream sequence in Alfred Hitchcock's 1945 psychological thriller, Spellbound. Dali's designs brought a visceral, unsettling quality to the film, perfectly capturing the protagonist's fractured mental state and demonstrating his ability to translate his unique visual language into a new medium. This collaboration introduced his surrealist aesthetic to a mainstream audience, proving the universal appeal of his dream logic. Even more ambitious was his collaboration with Walt Disney on the animated short film Destino. Though initiated in 1946, it remained unfinished for decades, only to be completed and released in 2003. This project showcased Dali's fascination with classical forms and his desire to bring his surreal visions to life through animation. The blend of Disney's technical mastery with Dali's boundless imagination created a mesmerizing, timeless piece that continues to captivate audiences, highlighting his enduring influence across different artistic disciplines. In the realm of fashion, Dali's impact was equally profound. He famously collaborated with the avant-garde fashion designer Elsa Schiaparelli, creating iconic pieces like the lobster dress and the shoe hat. These creations were not merely garments, they were wearable art, challenging conventional notions of beauty and utility. Dali's influence extended to jewelry, furniture, and even book illustrations, each project bearing his unmistakable stamp of imaginative eccentricity. He designed everything from telephone receivers with lobsters attached to elaborate jewel-encrusted eyes, turning everyday objects into surreal masterpieces. He was a commercial artist in the truest sense, but one who elevated advertising to an art form, injecting his unique vision into products ranging from chocolates to cars. Dali's later years saw him return to Catalonia, where he oversaw the creation of the Dali Theater Museum in Figueres. This museum, designed by Dali himself, is a surrealist artwork in its own right, a testament to his entire career and a final grand gesture of his artistic legacy. It houses a vast collection of his work, from early sketches to later masterpieces, and is an immersive experience that perfectly encapsulates his mind. It is a pilgrimage site for art lovers, a place where his spirit truly lives on. The enduring influence of Dali's unique visual language on subsequent generations of artists, designers, filmmakers, and popular culture is undeniable. His melting clocks, his elongated figures, his dreamlike landscapes, and his unsettling juxtapositions have permeated the collective consciousness. He inspired pop artists, rock musicians, and countless commercial campaigns. His work continues to be referenced in films, music videos, and fashion editorials, proving that his aesthetic transcends time and trends. Dalí demonstrated that art could be both profoundly intellectual and wildly popular, that an artist could be a serious creator and a global celebrity. He was far more than just a painter. He was a cultural phenomenon, a provocateur, a showman, and a visionary who challenged our perceptions of reality, art, and identity. His genius lay not only in his unparalleled technical skill, but in his audacious imagination and his unwavering commitment to his own unique vision, however bizarre. Salvador Dalí left behind a legacy that continues to fascinate, inspire, and confound, solidifying his status as a true modern icon whose influence will resonate for centuries to come. His art taught us that the subconscious is a boundless wellspring of creativity, and that the greatest masterpieces often emerge from the wildest corners of the human mind.